Good morning, family. Look, I know we're running a little bit behind. I apologize. I was having some technical issues here. My computer is not wanting to let me get on StreamYard, but that's resolved. We're good. I hope you all are ready for today's training. Look, this is the first time that I have done a live stream training for maybe 6 months. So if you're on LinkedIn, I cannot see you on my screen. I'll only see you if you drop a comment in. So drop a comment in, say what's up, and make sure you give StreamYard permission to show your name so that I'm able to see that over here. Now, I do have my eyeballs on LinkedIn over here, just in case people forget to give permission. That's all right. But thanks for the people that are tuned in on YouTube, as well as there's somebody dropping off of Facebook. But I'm going to get right into the training today because I do know that it is extension season. So some of you all are busy today, and then others of you are here to see this training because it's extension season and you're not busy, but you want to make sure that you're able to get clients in the door now so you can get business rolling. All right. So, for those of you who are new to me, my name is Timolyn Bowens and I am America's favorite EA. And in today's training, I'm not just teaching you something that is in theory, right? I've actually gotten my hands dirty and I've put this to practice so I actually know that it works. And you're watching me online, but maybe you don't have an online presence. This will work as well online as it will offline. Okay, so don't start making excuses about why you can't do this. All right, so I'm an enrolled agent, have a firm, Bowens Tax Solutions, which is located in Louisville, Kentucky. It's a virtual firm, and I serve clients all over the world, literally. Okay, when I first started my practice, I bootstrapped it. I didn't have a lot of money for putting into ads, hiring an SEO company, doing all of that stuff. So, again, everything I teach you today is stuff that I have already done. It's stuff that can be done online. It's stuff that if you have clarity, you can go ahead and implement today. As a matter of fact, this is Tuesday. If you get out of your own way and don't make any excuses, you can actually be having phone calls with prospects this week. Now, I can get you the prospects and get them on the phone. It's going to be up to you, though, to make sure that you convert them over into clients. So, let's see. Felix, thank you so much. He's over on LinkedIn. He said, "What's up? What's up to you, Felix? Thank you so much for joining with me." Hustle with Farshav has already brought the questions. How to get offshoring clients in Asia. Thank you for the question. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to come back because I do have some notes here just so I don't stay off track. But the things that I'm going to share with everyone can also be implemented from overseas as well. I'm just checking LinkedIn to make sure I didn't miss anybody. So, Felix, for sure, appreciate you. I see that I have 7 people on LinkedIn, though, not just Felix. So, if you're one of those remaining 6 that haven't said what's up, make sure you drop in the comments and say, hey. I am going to check Facebook really quick just to make sure that the stream is still up over there. Technology is great until it's not, right? So, I want to make sure that is actually showing up and that people can see me because I'm seeing a Facebook number, but then it's dropping off. So if you give me one moment, because I know they also have a lag, like on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is about, LinkedIn is 40 seconds behind. So Robin's on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining. Hello, hello. Okay, here we go. LinkedIn caught up with me saying, drop something in the comments. So, again, with this training, these are going to be things that you can implement today, whether you have a bountiful business, whether you have a lot of money to put into ads, whether you have a huge social media presence, or if you, for the most part, do your marketing offline. That is a-okay. You can still implement these things today. This is what I need you to do for me, though. You need to get out of your own way and not just make this promise to me, but make this promise to you for yourself that you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to get out of your own way. Okay? No excuses. So, the very first thing that a lot of people skip over when it comes to getting clients is having any type of clarity. Now, I did a free training 2 Sundays ago on the My Enrolled Agent career and how to start an EA firm, like the 5 things that you need to start an EA firm after you have the prerequisites done. So I'm not going to go into clarity about your purpose or clarity about who you want to serve and how you want to serve. You do need to also have that. But the main thing that people do when they start their own business in this industry as an EA, they don't realize who they are. And that's reflected in their marketing. Okay. So I talk about being an enrolled agent. It is the highest license that the IRS awards to a tax professional. Yet you can say that and not realize the power and authority that the IRS has actually given you through that credential. So that's what I want to talk about right now, because if you don't actually understand what you're capable of, you can't relate to prospects what you're capable of. And then you'll play scared because you're like, well, CPAs can do that and tax attorneys can do that. When the truth of the matter is, as an enrolled agent, you have the same authority under Circular 230 to represent taxpayers before the IRS, just like they do. Just because people don't know who you are doesn't mean you aren't that. So let's make sure that you understand, as an enrolled agent, I think all EA should do representation work. But I realistically know that not all enrolled agents want to do representation work. Some people get the license, they have that first interaction with the IRS, and I don't think you should make the decision on one interaction, but they decide then and there, hey, this isn't for me. I'll leave you alone, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't still help taxpayers with back tax filings. That doesn't mean that you can't still help taxpayers with accurate tax filings, right? So, first, with knowing who you are, this is the issue that I see with a lot of enrolled agents. They compare themselves to a CPA or a tax attorney, not to help clients understand, but they compare themselves to a CPA or an attorney for their own, not satisfaction, but their own, I don't know, I'm having a brain fart, you all, to make them feel like they are somebody. And again, if you're an EA and you haven't read Circular 230, shame on you, because when you applied to practice before the IRS, you checked the box that said you did. Within Circular 230, when it comes to representing taxpayers, EAs, CPAs, and tax attorneys are all on level playing field. The IRS does not favor one above the other. You have the ability to come in and save somebody's business. And I don't think that we think about it that way. You have the ability to come in and save somebody's marriage. Ask me how I know. Those are legitimately words that I've heard over and over and over again from taxpayers that I've worked with. You have the ability to help parents pay their child's school tuition. You have the ability to change somebody's life from keeping their retirement income from being levied. You have the ability to make an impact. You're not just a tax professional as an EA. And that's the part that I want to just keep reiterating, because when you have somebody who is powerful and they have a lot of authority and they go to introduce themselves to somebody, you can always smell when somebody doesn't believe what they're actually saying. You have to know that you know that you know that you have the authority to essentially argue with the IRS for a living. You have the authority to stand in the gap for taxpayers all over the world, just like me. That's not exclusive to me. As an enrolled agent, you can represent any taxpayer in the world who has a U.S. tax issue. You can represent them in an audit. You can get a levy removed. You can prevent a lien. You can get the lien removed. You can move fast and prevent the levy. You can guide them to see, is bankruptcy the best option in certain situations. You can guide them to say, hey, I know what the big company said on the radio about making that settlement where you pay that lump sum, but truthfully, let's save you some time, because I can tell you right now, you don't qualify for that. You have the authority to help make the bleeding stop. You have the authority, I'll say it again, not just to impact, but to change the taxpayer's life and living situation. For our young business owners, our people that are dealing in crypto, you literally have the ability to change the trajectory of their life. Now, of course, I'm leaning hard on you doing tax representation, but with accurate returns, somebody doing crypto or business, you change the trajectory of their life by doing an inaccurate return or by doing a fraudulent return. I literally got done working with a taxpayer last month who went to somebody who has no business in the world doing tax returns. There was so much fraudulent information on the return that during our paid consultation, I said, let's pause your time. Let's get off today. I'm going to go through this return because it smells wrong. When we come back, I can tell you how to fix it, or I can make a proposal for me to fix it. You all, the IRS sent a notice proposing that this taxpayer owe $51,000. And there was something hundred, right, in some sense. But when we were done, the taxpayer still owed, but I was able to get it reduced to around 8,400. That's the same authority and power that you have as well, because you can respond to notices in the same way. You can make corrections in the same way. But I don't know if this is you or not. What I see is people get the EA credential and say, hey, I don't need any help. Well, I need to become a CPA because nobody knows what an EA is. Do you know what an EA is? Do you know the power that you have as an enrolled agent? Because if you're wanting to do tax representation work and you're already an enrolled agent, you don't need to become a CPA, right? If you've listened to other stuff, I've said that I may do it for personal reasons just because it was a goal. And now with the track that they've changed the CPA exam to, I'm a lifetime learner. Why not? I have a traditional tax background in accounting. Why not? I have all of the other requirements other than just sit down and take the test, but I don't have to help my marketing. I don't have to be able to help taxpayers. So what I'm telling you right now, yes, you can hear me and you can repeat the same things back. You can read it and be like, I'm an EA. I can represent taxpayers in all 50 states. But until you actually know what that means and what all you can do for the taxpayer, you can't relay that to anybody with confidence. And they're not going to want to work with you if you aren't confident in what you do, in who you are. You have to know who you are. Now, before I go too far on a tangent on my soapbox, let me check in with the comments really quick because I see a few coming in. I see Virat. I see Barbara. Thank you. Let me see. Mark Reynolds joining from last night. How are you, sir? Mark asked, hi, I'm studying for the EA license. Do you have videos on how someone should go about studying for the exams? I actually do, specific to this tax year, right on the YouTube channel. There is how to study for the EA exam, and then also on Spotify, My Enrolled Agent Career. I believe it is episode 3. I talk about how to study for the exam. And then, yes, here on the YouTube channel, I talk about the resources that the IRS has that actually show you what type of material is going to be covered on the exam. So, yes, there are videos that cover that. So, when we take knowing who you are and how we can use that information to get clients, let's say this week. And remember, if you want the clients this week, you have to take the deep breath and get out of the way, right? If you're not working on tax returns right now, no cases, then you have the time to implement this to get people on the phone to talk to you this week. Now that you know who you are, and I know I just gave you a quick rundown, I would still recommend that you read Circular 230. Honestly, because yes, it's the ethical standards that we're held to by the IRS, but it also explains what you are able to do on behalf of the taxpayer. And like I said, you'll notice that it has certified public accountants, enrolled agents, and tax attorneys. It's a level playing field when it comes to representation. So I'm not saying that you're better than them, and I'm not saying that they're better than you. You just have to believe in yourself that you have the authority and the capability to get the work done just as well as anyone else. So, the next part to get the clients is going to be education. When I post some tax content, a lot of times the content that I have is also connected to something that I'm studying, or maybe I'm writing articles. So, you all have seen I've done the series on the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That is because I was creating content for that. I had to read through and study the bill for myself because a lot of people were throwing it through different AI tools and the summaries were incorrect. I was even in some classes where I was like, uh-oh, that's actually wrong because I read it in the bill for myself. When you read Circular 230 and you understand some more of the things that you actually have the authority to do, that is what is going to empower you to educate your prospects about what you do. I have seen more times than I would like to admit EAs be discouraged because people don't know what EAs are. Listen, people not knowing that there's a person out there that can help them with a specific issue that they are dealing with is fuel for your fire to market even more, because not only are you bringing them a person who can solve their problem, you're introducing them to a whole new world that they weren't even aware of. They probably don't even know that the license is directly through the Internal Revenue Service. Do you know how much street cred that gives you with the everyday taxpayer? that now I don't have to go find an attorney. I can work with you because you can negotiate my tax debt. Now I don't have to go find a CPA that I've never worked with. You have a license directly from the Internal Revenue Service, and you can let me know if I actually qualify for an offer in compromise. You have authorization from the IRS to represent me in this audit, and your test materials came directly from them covering the tax law. People look for credentials that they trust, but if you are able to let them know what you do, they can trust you as well. I love when people don't know what an enrolled agent is, because then that gives me the opportunity to let them know what an enrolled agent is, but also for them to connect my name and face with fixing tax issues. I shared to my email list, I think maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, that it was a certain amount of money that I had made. And the clients that I made the money with were people that I didn't meet directly. Like, they were connected to me through somebody else. But here's the thing, when I go places, people know what I am. I'm not going to a networking event and saying, hey, I do taxes. Absolutely not, because it's deeper than that. One of the people that was referred to me was referred by somebody that I was in a wedding with 10 years ago. They said, hey, you should follow Timlin. She really knows her stuff. And that person never got a hold of me. Well, check this out. They started following me, and in the spaces that they follow me, I've been consistent ever since they've been watching. I've never said, hey, I'm an EA today, I got some other business tomorrow. I'm an EA today during tax season, now I do something else. It's always been about taxes. It's always been about filling the tax literacy gap. So when 1 year went by and they didn't file their taxes, it's like, oh, I got to take care of it. They're just like the person I mentioned in my post yesterday. I got to take care of it. But now I'm about to file again. So 2 years went by, 3 years went by, 4 years went by. So now when the letters come from the IRS, they're able to find me because, yes, I'm letting everybody know what an enrolled agent is. I don't care if it's at a wedding, a coffee shop, online, but they see that the door has always been open for them to reach out. So I was able to get the 4 years worth of taxes filed. And once everything is actually assessed by the IRS, we already know what our proposed penalty abatement is going to be. And then we already know what the proposed payment arrangement is going to be. Are they going to have to pay this entire bill in full? Absolutely not. Not under my watch, because that would put them in an undue financial hardship. But I know that because I took the time to educate myself, right, with what's in the Internal Revenue Code, then taking the time to educate myself with what's in the Internal Revenue Manual, because I want to know what the IRS employees' interpretation of the code is, so I know exactly how to combat whatever they come at me with, right? But then the taxpayer is also trusting me every step of the way, because I've educated them as well on, this is what an enrolled agent is, this is how I can help you, and this is what the process will be. So for you, hey, New York. So for you, make sure that as you're educating yourself, you're not just hoarding that. You're also educating the people around you about, hey, this is who I am, an enrolled agent. No, it's not an executive assistant. This is what I do as an enrolled agent, and this is how I help. All right. So for my people who are tax professionals still on here with me, let me know, does any of what I said makes sense. Hello, Mr. Collins from Roots 101. Holly, tell me if I said it right. If I did not, my head, not my heart. Let me see. So on LinkedIn, we're at 7, YouTube 5. Let me make sure Facebook didn't drop off again. All right, so I know LinkedIn has a lag. It looks like on YouTube, you guys may have an ad right now. Let me know if what I've said makes sense, because now we need to get to the part where you're going to be reaching out to people this week to get them on the phone, right? Because if you don't have a big social media presence, you could potentially make one post and people reach out, but let's pair that with something else, right? Let's actually implement some steps that can get you conversations with people today. So, of the people that are online right now, thank you so much. So, Felix says it makes sense. Thanks. From the people who are online right now, let me know if you are focused on tax representation or tax preparation, because the approach in how you get people on the phone is going to be different. And I've talked about this on the channel before. If we have somebody who needs to get their taxes filed, they don't mind letting people know that they have to get their taxes filed, right? You can make a post that says, hey, I'm filing taxes till the 30th. Who needs their taxes done? And people will comment on the post. They'll love the post. They'll share the post. In my business, I'm marketing to people who owe the IRS $100,000 or more. If I make a post that says, hey, if you owe the IRS $100,000 or more, nobody's going to comment on that post. Now, because I have a pretty consistent following, will people still use the link to book a call? Absolutely. But they're not going to engage with that post on the post, because let's be for real, owing the IRS is embarrassing, right? Now, we have some people that just downright like, hey, I'm not going to pay. But for the most part, especially if you're a business owner or just established, owing the IRS, not having the ability to pay is going to be embarrassing, because it looks like you don't have your financial house in order. That is why people do not engage with the post. And that is something that you all have to realize about your ideal person. If you were having a financial issue, it's not likely that you would engage with the post either. But you still want to be consistent so people can find you. That takes time, which again is why I'm not pushing so hard to say, hey, make a post. Everybody's going to want to talk to you on the phone this week. Not exactly. All right. So let me see what people are saying that they're doing. All right. YouTube did have commercial. So on LinkedIn, let me see if I can pull this over. Before I get to this, so Mark asked, just confirming, do you have one podcast or multiple podcasts? So Mark, I have multiple podcasts. I actually have 3. There are 2 that are open to the public, and there's one private one for the people in my mentorship group. For you, the one that I said, check out how to study for the EA exam, is only on Spotify. It is a video podcast, and it's called My Enrolled Agent Career. Okay. Now, with that, I think there is actually here on YouTube a playlist for that podcast. The episodes won't be uploaded over there though until January. Okay. But on this YouTube channel, there is a video about what is on the EA exam for 2025. That was the video that I was recommending for you to watch to see the material that's actually covered on this cycle of the exam. Misha, thanks for joining me. I didn't realize you were on here. Thank you, confirming it makes sense. So I see tax resolution, Robin asked, should we know preparation prior to tax? Should we know preparation prior to representation? So, in my humble opinion, I'm going to say yes. But is it possible to do tax representation without understanding how to do preparation? That answer, truthfully, is also yes. Understanding preparation, though, will help you when you are, well, it will help you somewhat with being comfortable with filling out the forms. But here's the reason I said you don't have to know preparation before doing representation. And that's because if you think about it, a lot of tax attorneys, I would even go as far as to say most tax attorneys do not do tax preparation. A lot of them don't even prepare their own return. But what we're looking at within the tax law and representing clients is going to be different. But if you are familiar and comfortable with preparing tax forms through tax preparation, that's going to help your level of being comfortable with doing the financials in different forms for a representation. Now, I will say this, there are certain things that are going to be asked for, and there are certain things where you may bottleneck yourself if you don't do preparation as well. Here's an example. I had a client a few years ago who needed to file, I think he needed 2 or 3 years of tax returns done. And I said, okay, I'm just handling the representation. Go back to whoever you were using to get those taxes caught up. Well, during tax season, especially extension season, back taxes are not going to be the priority of people who don't do back taxes all the time for representation. So what happened was we had this urgent matter where I had to have these tax returns before I could negotiate anything, and it wasn't priority for that person's tax professional. And what ended up happening is they weren't done before the e-file window was completed. And then they had whatever going on with them with payment. So instead of being able to get the situation taken care of in the fall, they didn't give them the paper copy so we could just file it. We had to wait until the spring when that person could then e-file the return. So for me, remember, as the representative, I'm now standing in the gap for the taxpayer, having to answer to the IRS about these tax returns that I said we could get filed, and now they're not getting filed. So there's a bottleneck here where we can't make any more progress because we need the tax returns done. Now, if you've never done tax preparation before, and this goes too for tax representation, I do recommend, if at all possible, that you get somebody to work under that can review the work. If that's not possible, I recommend investing in a mentor, somebody who can walk you through the process of getting the firm set up, walk you through the process and teach you how to actually prepare the returns, best practices, what to look for, and then also help you with reviewing it. Right? So that's my long answer to your question. Me, and I have to watch this because I keep thinking me is me. What would happen if an EA recommended and sets up an installment agreement that wasn't the best one for the taxpayer? If it's not the best one for the taxpayer, I don't know if you mean in terms of you could have gotten it lower or in terms of them not being able to pay it. If they're not able to pay it, then the installment agreement would default, right? But with that, now we kind of have a bad rap with the IRS, but you didn't make the debt any worse. This is something that's important as well to realize, that when you are working with taxpayers and you're representing them before the IRS, it is a team effort. I tell my clients, I need to know everything about these financials, where the dead bodies are buried, because when I get on the phone with the IRS, I have to be able to speak on your behalf, right? So to help something not default, you want to make sure that you are very clear with your client, like, hey, you need to be transparent with me, because if this defaults, I'm the one standing there with egg on my face, but it's going to fall back on them. So making sure that they understand as well their financials. So again, kind of going back to the mistake I talked about yesterday on my post and on the live last night, they need to understand how much money they're bringing in and how much is going out. Then that helps you with preparing the financials on the 433A. If we're going for currently not collectible, the 433F. And with that, I'm sorry, Zoom is trying to take over my screen. And then with that, you're able to see what the IRS would say they should be able to pay monthly. Okay. If they see that amount and they're like, hey, I still can't afford that, then there's something missing from the financials, or they're not actually keeping good track of the money that they're bringing in, which in some situations, that's what happens. The taxpayer just hasn't been on top of how they're spending their money, so they need to make adjustments to the withholding or estimated payments. And a lot of times, you guys, there are situations where the taxpayer can do a full pay just over the 72 months, right? The only representation isn't an offer in compromise. Now, while that's a real viable option, it's just not realistic for everybody. Some people will qualify for a streamlined installment agreement. Some people will be full pay, and maybe you can do penalty abatement. I had a situation like that. The gentleman only wanted, I think he said 6 or 8 months. I still did 72 just because you guys know the economy is wacky. Life happens. He was actually able to pay it off within, I believe, 6 months. And I was able to get a penalty abatement. So what was abated actually covered my fee, and he had some left over at the end of that. For him, that was amazing because based on his financial situation, he could actually pay it in full over time. He wasn't trying to get a lump sum offer. All right. So with that, though, I was able to protect that taxpayer from being levied. I was able to protect that taxpayer from having a lien put out against them. There are solutions other than the offer in compromise. But I think I see, for the most part, representation. So let's look at that. So we've talked about it, educating yourself. People tell me they watch me, I get them fired up about what they can do. But in all seriousness, today, if you have the capacity, go read Circular 230. And I'm glad Mark brought it up. I want you to check out the My Enrolled Agent Career podcast and check out the episode with Keisha Dawson Harris. We talk about walking in your authority as an enrolled agent, because you shouldn't be playing scared or behind anybody, because you have the authority, authorization from the IRS themselves to be on the front line representing people. So here's what you need to do. How many of you all are actually marketing on social media? Because I'm going to give you the wording and everything. Almost like a script. If you're marketing on social media, if you are studying for the exam, or you have passed all 3 parts, this is still going to be relevant, because that's the other thing as well. People will ask me, well, should I market if I haven't passed the exam yet? Yes, you should, because here's the thing. I mentioned to you all the taxpayer that I worked with who had to get 4 years filed. I couldn't negotiate anything until everything's filed. I still can't negotiate anything because we have to wait for the paper return to be processed. So I was still able to collect a nice fee, get the tax returns prepared and filed before I go into negotiation. That's one of the beginning stages that you can still do. Even before you have your EA license, you can still get account transcripts with an 8821, review the transcripts, let the taxpayer know what the assessed debt is, what penalties could potentially be abated, what interest is connected, let them know what the CSET is, the collection statute expiration date, and project for them what type of arrangement the IRS would accept. You just don't have the authority to set it up yet. But all of those things in the beginning stage, you can still do. Why am I saying this? Because some of you are using not being an EA yet as a crutch to not do your marketing. But if you realize that you have people waiting on you and you're just not in position, I'm hoping that'll put some fire up under your feet to go ahead and get it done. But here's the other thing. For some people who are taking it slow, for some people who do not have the confidence to go out there and speak to people yet, you still want to be creating a pipeline of people who are watching you, right? Now, due to some things that I have set up, they're evergreen. I have people who consistently reach out for tax representation. But the two folks that I mentioned earlier, so the person we took from like 51,000 to like 8,400, and then the person who had the 4 years that we got filed. Well, I've actually had multiple people that have had 4 years to file within the past 30, 60 days. All of them watched me. As the hole got dug deeper and deeper, they watched me, they watched me, they watched me. They were in my pipeline because I was being consistent in showing up, not just showing up with the same energy, showing up in the same manner, educating them on what I do, how their problem could be fixed, and showing up available, letting them know how they could reach me. One person said, hey, 2 years ago, I knew, but we know mutual people, so I didn't know about it. That's another education piece. Hey, when you work with me, this is a private matter. I can't tell your mom about it. I can't tell your children about it. It's between you, me, the IRS, and Jesus. All right? The next part, though, with that pipeline, I'm reaping the benefits of the work that I put in last month, last year, the year before. So there's never a wrong time to start marketing. If you get to the point where they have something that you can't take all the way home because you can't do representation work yet, refer it to somebody, right? But you still are building your brand and credibility. So with this and the representation, all right, so I'm not going to put anybody on blast and post these comments. So I see not consistently marketing. I see I'm not promoting myself. I don't feel qualified. That all goes back to the first point that I made with you understanding the authority that you have. You are powerful as an enrolled agent. If you don't have the confidence, is it because you don't believe in yourself or you don't have the experience? If you don't have the experience, check this out. Is it because you're not putting yourself out there to get the clients so you can get the experience? Well, what if I mess up? I've messed up before, but you know what? I have people within my community. I have mentors that I can reach out to. And what I would advise you to do, if you feel like, oh my goodness, I don't want to mess up, is realize that we're all human beings, and at one time or another, we're going to mess up. If you're on the rep side, you're not going to double the debt. You're not going to make the debt worse. If you need community, go find that community. If you need mentorship, go find that mentor. But you have the EA license, you have the authority, go get the experience so you can be qualified to do the work. Okay. And again, read Circular 230 without reading through it just so you can check the box to say that you did it and you get your license, right? Read through it as it spells out the authority that you have. So, this is what I would love for everybody to do. I see the person says, I'm not, but I want to, though. You can do this too, whether you start studying or not. Not the profile picture that you have right here, but I would invite you to choose a nice picture of yourself, right? And it doesn't have to be a professional picture. You could be on vacation, just a nice picture. For those of you who are enrolled agents, in the post, you are going to share good afternoon, because it's 12 noon here. I'm sorry I've held you all a while. Good afternoon. I call my people family. You call them whenever you want to. I don't know how many of you know this. Now, I can't use this wording because everybody on mine should know that I'm an EA, even though they don't. And that's another thing. If you're following me, you know I always say it. And I have people that I've known for years like, I didn't know that's what you did. So you can never say it too much. I would like to let everyone know, if you don't already know, that I'm an enrolled agent. What's an enrolled agent, you ask? An enrolled agent is a tax professional who has received the highest credential that the IRS awards. Not just that, it gives me the authority, and yes, I want you to use authority, to help taxpayers who are being audited, who are being levied, and who can't pay the IRS in full. If that is you, or you know someone who needs my help, feel free to book a call with me and you're going to put your booking link. Now, if you don't have a booking link, put your email address. If you need the call today, you can put your phone number. You can tell them to DM you. Here's the thing. People aren't always going to reach out on the post. With people who engage with this post, you're going to follow up with them. Let's say that I heart Misha's post, right? Let's say it's not me though, right? I'm not an enrolled agent. Misha's going to DM me and say, Timlin, thanks so much for the engagement with the post. You're helping more people to see it. Do you have a tax problem that you need help with, or somebody you know? That's not pushy. It's not salesy, but it gives me the opportunity to let her know if I need help or not. If I respond and say yes, if Misha has a free calendar, like, hey, I have 1 o'clock open tomorrow and 4 o'clock. Do either of those times work for you? If I say no, cool beans. Just wanted to make sure that you weren't out there suffering. Thanks again for all the support. That doesn't have to be complicated. It's following up on somebody's interaction. It's not just sliding into DMs. Because again, people who have an IRS problem are not going to be like, hey, me, I owe $50,000, right? Now, if you have not passed the EA exam yet, if you were thinking about becoming an EA, yours is going to look a little different. You're still going to put a nice picture, right? And it would say almost same thing. Good afternoon. Hi, everybody. And you let them know, I'm thinking about getting a new credential to further my career. The credential is the enrolled agent license. Now, a lot of people may not know what that is, so let me be the first to tell you it's the highest license that the IRS awards to tax professionals. Will I be able to do your tax return? Yes, but there's more. If you are being audited, if the IRS is taking money from your paycheck or your bank account, or if you have a tax lien, I can help resolve all of those issues. Wish or no, wish me the best in my studies. If you need help with those things right now, feel free to book a call with me. You're going to drop your link, website, maybe it's a phone number, email address, you tell them to DM you, and you're going to do the same follow up. Because here's the thing, even if you haven't passed the exam yet, if we're looking at social media, you're going to have the people who love you just because you're you, and they're going to like it because it's a good picture, right? You're going to have the people that are excited for you because you're taking a new career or business venture. Capitalize on that, where people are sharing the information for you, where they're becoming what I call a disciple. They're letting people know, hey, my nephew, my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my bestie, they're doing this. If you need tax help, go to them. Now, that's just an initial get you some traction, right? Whether you have a big following or not, the people who follow you are going to put it out there and engage. Don't make the don't make the post private. But also, for some reason, people don't like sharing what they do. And I don't understand. I have a business, and if I don't work, we don't eat, right? If I don't make money, bills don't get paid. So with that, I'm going to let everybody know, and I'm proud of the work that I do. In addition to that, and you're going to follow up with the people doing that, you want to make sure that your friends and family members know what you're doing. So here's the thing. You can do it with professional associates that you feel closest with family members. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a fan of family discounts when growing your business. I've made my own mistakes in friend discounts, so I'm just putting it out there for you. But you're going to text them. And here's the thing, don't be offended, because people don't know what an EA is until they need you. But you want to be ahead of that, so when they have the tax issue, they're not like, oh man, I wish I would have known that. I wouldn't have hired an attorney. You're going to create a text message that says, hey, so-and-so, you fill out the name of whoever so-and-so is. It's come to my attention that a lot of people don't know what I do as an enrolled agent. I was wondering if you actually know all of the services that I offer. Yes, no, because in here, you are getting the opportunity to make corrections to what people think you do. Because y'all, guess what? And she may watch this later, I don't know. My mom doesn't even fully know what I do. Thank God, because I don't want my mom to have tax problems, but she's still proud of me and tells everybody and shares all my stuff. This gives you the opportunity to say, hey, right now, the IRS is actually levying people with their automated collection system. So I'm just trying to make sure that nobody I know goes through that system right now. If you know anybody dealing with that, have them reach out to me. But what it's also doing when people are telling you what they think you do, it's giving you information to turn into content. And when I say content, people think social media only. It's newsletter content, it's content for presentations, because you could take 5 common misconceptions and turn that into a presentation or a podcast or a blog, right? The information that you take from this not only is going to put you at top of mind with people who are going to be interacting with people who are having tax issues, but it's also going to give you ammo to make corrections in how you present yourself. All right. So my challenge to you. So again, I'm not going to put anybody on blast here. So I'm not pulling this up. I'm just going to read it. Why is it that family are the last ones you want to know what you're doing? And it's no judgment, right? Like I said, I made my mistakes with the way I charged family initially. And there is some family that you just shouldn't do business with. So I'm just curious. Felix, wishing you all the best in studying for the exam. So the next thing, I don't think that anybody's business should just be online. Online is nice, right? And you should have an online presence so people can look you up, look at Google reviews when they want to check out and see if you're real, look at your bio. But I'd also challenge you to go outside. And by go outside, what I mean, when I first started my business, I wanted business. I went to small businesses in the area and I went and introduced myself. Now, when I first started, I wasn't an EA, so I didn't have that weight. But if you have a local chamber of commerce, if you live in a small business district, if you have an office that you are in with other small businesses, take the time to go introduce yourself as an EA. Look, and you're going to let them know the same thing. Like, hey, so I just wanted to come by and introduce myself. I'm Timlin from down the hallway. I own Bowen's Tax Solutions. And no, we're not doing any more business taxes. So, not here to make a sales pitch for that. I just wanted to let you know right now why the IRS is kind of crazy, that I'm an enrolled agent and I actually help taxpayers who are facing IRS issues. So, like, if you're having your bank account levied, or if you have employees whose wages are being garnished, or somebody's trying to purchase a house and they have tax debt, I help with that sort of thing. The reason that you want to make that introduction is because, again, now they have a face with a name, but they also have a new industry that they're opened up to, also connected to the name, and your face and name are now connected with solving tax problems. So again, don't go down there like, hey, I want to do your business taxes. You're just letting them know what you do, because as a business owner, if they don't have a problem, they may have a friend that has a problem. Their network is further along than you can reach. So every person who knows what you do, they're connected to a tax problem, big or small. And you have to remember, a small tax problem for you may be major for somebody else. I've talked about this on when I've been a guest on podcasts. The very first person I encountered, I was still at the CPA firm, that owed debt. I can't remember to this day if it was $500 or $1,500. She was crying like her life was over. Now I'm dealing with people who owe over 300,000, close to 500,000. To them, $1,500 would be nothing. but you have to treat each case with white gloves, right? So again, making that introduction, it looks like quite a few of you on here are newer um, to the industry. So even those quote unquote smaller problems can help you with getting your feet wet, helping you with guiding people through a consultation, because you want to make sure that you're putting that work in to do that before um, everything gets too busy. Good afternoon, Matt. Tell Mallory I said hello as well. Trying to wrap up things and help other people get ready for the craziness that is the IRS right now. I appreciate the kind words. Matt is a local business owner. Now I'm thinking about it. Is your business in Indiana or is it over here in Kentucky? I know it's Touchdown, but Mallory and I went to college together at Bellarmine. So thanks for the shout out, Matt. So Marlon says, you were giving me so many ideas. I just decided to start my own business and I'm in the beginning stages. What do you think about a virtual office? I think a virtual office is A-okay. One, you don't want to put your real address on anything. I did not want to put my address on anything. And for your online presence and starting that Google page so people can leave reviews and things, I think a virtual office is great because it also gives you a place to meet with clients. If you choose to do so, I do, as I mentioned in a video a couple of days ago, I do meet with certain clients if I deem it is worth it or if they are in their 80s. Right? I don't meet with everybody in person, even now that I'm in the office full time. But yeah, I think a virtual office is a very good idea. Marlon, if you are thinking about starting an EA firm, I would recommend that you get the How to Start an EA Firm checklist. And there is a free community as well on the americasfavoriteea.com website. You would have to go to the groups and then you can join in there. I got it. So Touchdown is in Indiana. Thank you. Good morning to you, Emresh. But if you all don't have any other questions for me, I'm going to let you go because I was on a little bit longer than I thought I would be. Before I go, though, I do want to let you know a few things. There are 7 days left until the registration closes for the Enrolled Agent Firm Bootcamp. You can still get your tickets right now on the website under live classes and events, or if you are following me on LinkedIn or Facebook, there are posts all over the place. I think the last one is a video with me in a Bonus Tax Solutions t-shirt, and the link is in the description. Look, it's going to be a great event. It's not going to be one of those huge conferences with 300 people. So you are actually going to be in a room working with me on solidifying your service offering, your purpose, like how and why you want to do this. But then I'm also going to walk you through how to handle a case from beginning to end. So, I mean, we're pulling the transcripts, filling out the 2848. Sorry, let's do that. Pulling the transcripts, reading the transcripts, creating a transcript report to go back to the client with and go over with them. And then we're going to fill out a 433A and 433F. Okay. But after equipping you with how to do the work for representation, on Saturday, we're going to wrap up with all day marketing. And by all day, I just mean the morning. But we're going to work on a 12-week marketing plan, but then also talk about the strategy so that you can implement that so that it's actually effective in attracting your ideal person. All right. Now, I know it's short notice. That's next month in literally 30 days. Crazy. But if you can't make it in person, the online mentorship community is still open as well. Let me see if I can type this in here. and it probably is not going to go over to LinkedIn because we have a love-hate thing. So it is americasfavoriteea.com. Is that a backslash tax rep journey? I will put it over here on LinkedIn as well. If you're interested in that, that is where you get to meet with me twice monthly. You are also going to have access to a group with other paid members where you can put in questions for case support, such as if you're stuck on the transcripts. Also, if you have prep questions, marketing questions as well, and you have access to the private podcast and all of the paid articles. All right. So that is it for today. I've missed being with you guys live on Tuesdays, if you can't tell. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I might see you next Tuesday.